Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Outsourcing and Scaling. I am here with my business partner, Connor Gillivan. Connor, how you doing?
What's going on, Nate? How are we doing today?
Doing great, man. We did it. After years of talking about it, we finally have a podcast. We are here.
It's taken a while. We've listened to a lot of them. We've been on a lot of them.
Exactly. And we are really excited. The podcast is going to be me interviewing different guests that we come on, a lot of people that are well known in the e-commerce industry, marketing industry. We want this to be packed with content, really actionable stuff that entrepreneurs out there can actually apply to their business on a week-to-week basis. And I thought, why not have the first episode where I interview you? Because I feel like sometimes I become the face of FreeUp, and people hear me on podcasts. They hear my story. They've probably heard my story 100 times if they've been following us for 3 years. And I kind of want to dive into you because I feel like there's so much there that is different. I mean, you and I are totally different people. We've known that for a while. And I don't know. Let's kind of take it back to college. And I think we've all kind of heard the summary of the story. It was crazy. We were growing this Amazon business. But what really stood out in those college years?
I mean, we were building a business completely from scratch. I had no idea who you were. I don't think you really knew who I was. But you had this idea to start selling things online, and I mean, I was interested in it. You know, when you met me, I was just kind of driven. I was looking for my first opportunity, and you kind of gave me that chance, and we went from there, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like we both came from the same background, although we were very different people, both middle class. I mean, why don't you tell people a little bit about your upbringing?
Yeah, of course. I mean, brought up in upstate New York, went to a military Catholic high school. So learned a lot about discipline and education from a young age. My mom was a freelance writer for her whole life. So that kind of plays into this. Dad was an engineer. I was in economics and math. So everything kind of made sense there. I grew up around entrepreneurs too. So that idea of running a business was always something that was an option. So it was something I wanted to pursue, and I hated working for other people. So that was really the best option to go with.
And so that's where I think we're similar. We both hated working for other people. Where I think we were different is my parents were both teachers, but I was rebelling. There was no one there like keeping me in line. I don't think my parents fully had control over me, where you went to kind of that strict school where you had to get in line. And I feel like that's kind of how we ended up with very different personalities coming from the same place.
Yeah, for sure. But we always wanted the same thing. We always wanted to build a business that allowed us to just live the life we wanted. So I think that's what aligned us most of the way through.
And just the values there. I mean, we both we talk about the same thing. We want to make sure that our team is taken care of. We want to make sure that our clients are happy. Yes, we want to understand the numbers, and we want to make smart investments. And we're kind of on the same page there. Neither of us are going off in this crazy direction or trying to pull a fast one on people.
Yeah, totally. We're both very honest, pretty genuine guys. We just want to build a business that actually makes an impact on people.
So we're running this crazy business in college. Any particular story that stood out to you that kind of summarizes the college years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can remember there were nights when we would be studying for finals, and we were also in the middle of busy season. Right. So for 24 hours for a week, I would go to the library, study for an hour, fulfill orders for an hour, go back and forth just over and over. And at the same time, I think you were also like rushing the fraternity and doing 3 other things. So, I mean, it was just madness. The time in college, I don't know how we got through all of it. It was a lot of Monsters and Red Bulls and coffees to get us through all those hours.
Yeah. And I think sometimes on podcasts, I mean, first of all, it's been a long time, unfortunately, since we've been in college,
totally.
But also it's all just kind of a blur. It's hard to really put in perspective what it was like running the business out of college. And I mean, I remember, and maybe I'm kind of curious if you remember it the same way, where you messaged me during class asking for a job. You didn't really know what I did. Right. I don't remember like interviewing you that much. I maybe asked you a few questions, and I remember the first day that you were going to work for me, you called me and you said, "Oh, by the way, I don't have a car. Can you come pick me up?" So there I am, like, who is this guy? Am I really going to waste my time? But I had already committed. So I went there and I picked you up and I brought you back and I taught you the business and I brought you back to school. And it ended up being one of the best things, because on those car rides, you and I would just talk business every day. And I feel like that's really when we got to know each other.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, the stuff we were doing wasn't that entertaining. I mean, we were changing prices on hundreds of products on Amazon and then reading off numbers for bookkeeping to each other. But I think that it allowed us to bond with each other and get to know one another at a deeper level. And that's kind of what allowed us to start to work together. So it was great.
And I think what a lot of people can relate to, if they have friends or family that are not entrepreneurs, is we got a lot of weird looks when we were in college. I mean, we were selling baby products. There's always this image in my face of I was listing baby products on Amazon, and this girl that I knew like looked over my shoulder, and I looked her in the eye, and she just looked at me like, "You are a weirdo."
Just looking at little toddler gifts. That's hilarious.
Yeah. What was it like telling your family what you did? What did your friends think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so there were entrepreneurs in my family, so it was okay, but there was still a lot of pushback for sure from like aunts, uncles, kind of questioning, you're going to school, you're in college, you're doing well. What's your plan afterwards? And when I told them that I was, selling baby products, toys, and home goods online, a lot of them, they gave skeptical looks. They kind of wondered, is that something he could continue to do after college? Is he can actually figure out a real-time job and what he's doing? And then same thing from professors and other students, right? They were like, what are you doing? How are you actually doing this? Are you making money doing this? And, like, what is going on with you? So a lot of skepticism there.
Right. And I feel like you and I mean, we've been through so many ups and downs. People have probably heard my Myrtle Beach story 100 times, right? When someone dropped us, someone quit, we're there. And I feel like along the way, you handle the downs way better than I do. I've gotten better at it, maybe.
Sure.
But how do you stay so even keeled? I've always just wondered that about you. And I feel like that's just a skill that more entrepreneurs need to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. You know me pretty well. I mean, we've kind of come to look at it the same way. Any down to me has always just been a learning opportunity. So it's never been, oh no, this is a down, the business is ending, running to the worst possible things that could happen. In my mind, I just try to stay positive, think of how we can fix it, think of logical solutions, and figure out how we're going to move forward. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just personality differences too. I'm definitely less like high strung than you, but I don't know,
Right. And I think part of it is how much you just read. You're just very, I don't know, you gather a lot of information. You've experienced a lot through other people, through books. Sure. And I think I want the audience to just get to know Connor Gillivan. So talk to us a little bit about some of the books you've read that have impacted your life. Maybe give us a glimpse into what you're reading right now. That's one of my favorite questions to ask you. Whenever I see you, I'm like, oh, what are you reading right now? Let me in.
Yeah, I mean, I usually try to read a book a month, so it's hard to like come up with books that have been the biggest. What am I reading right now? I have it right here. It's called, can you see it? The Three Questions. So this guy, Don Miguel Ruiz, he's kind of like a wisdom guy, philosopher. So a lot of the stuff he talks about is kind of controlling your own mind and your own destiny. So some of that relaxedness probably comes from books like that.
Right.
Love books that are like business biographies, Steve Jobs, Bezos, Elon Musk, all those guys and their stories. Love that just because you see how they went from nothing to something and what it took to get there along the way. And then just, I mean, I do marketing for FreeUp now, so I read a ton of marketing books as well,
Right. So let's talk about FreeUp. I think at this point, I think we both can agree that this exceeded our expectations a little bit. I think when we started it, whenever you start any business, you don't know what the client feedback is going to be. Talk to me a little bit about the early years. What was going through your head? Because I know we had felt like Amazon was reaching a peak. A lot of the gurus, the courses were coming out. Our business was doing okay, but it was kind of hanging in there. And we were both looking for different things. And I know you had ventured in a few different opportunities. You weren't 100% sold at FreeUp. What was that thing? What was it that you saw in FreeUp that you liked? Talk about the early stages of it.
Yeah, I mean, the early stages were weird, right? We were still running our Amazon business. I was looking at other options, trying to start other businesses. And then we were working on FreeUp together, but it wasn't really what it is today yet. You were doing e-commerce consulting, and we were offering a Amazon course to learn how to sell safely. And then from those first clients, we were like, oh, by the way, we have 20 VAs who we've worked with before. Do you want to hire them from us? So the first year it was kind of wild. You know, it was weird. I was learning how to build websites. So our website was shit and it was just looking crappy. We were building all the content out. We were trying to figure out how all the billing worked and how all the logistics and everything would work. So I mean, it was fun. You know, I love that part of running a business. It's the unknown and you have to figure out what your customers want and then build a solution for it. So yeah, it was weird, but it was also fun.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like we both wanted the virtual assistant platform. We wanted the freelance platform. That's what we thought the business could be. But for some reason, we weren't quite convinced. We were like, okay, we have to have a course. We have to teach people how to do Amazon, and then we'll get them the people. And then all of a sudden, as we're going through the course, we're like, okay, this isn't a great use of our time. Right. Let's go after people that already have these businesses established. And once those people who are already in it that had hired people from other places started to say, man, this is a great experience, then we fully committed. Okay, let's make sure that the entire business model is this and not get sidetracked by all the little things.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely an interesting transition, but I was happy once we made it, because then, I mean, the business really took off. Once we were only focused on that and building that part of the company, everything started to turn into what people know FreeUp to be today.
Right. And I want to share a story with the audience. So Connor's doing FreeUp part-time. It wasn't 20 hours a week. It was probably more, but it wasn't full-time. And we used to meet up at this coffee shop. I don't know, once a month, whatever it was. And there was one time Connor sat down and I thought he was just going to tell me, you know what, I'm moving on to other things. I'm going to quit. And he said, you know what, I've decided I'm going to stop doing all those other things and 100% focus on FreeUp. And I think about it now, and we're going in two different directions. I don't know if I could run FreeUp without you. And I was excited. I was pumped. I left that meeting. I came home with Coin and I'm like, you're never going to believe what just happened. It was cool. Did you see that the same way? And what was going through your head?
Yeah, you've told me that so many times, and it makes me crack up, because that's not, I did not know you were like expecting that bad of news. I was excited to share the news with you. So right. I was more nervous, like, hey, is this going to work out? Is he going to want me to come on full time and work on it? I was pretty sure you were, but you know, there's always that doubt. So it sounds like we both had some doubts going into that meeting, but it ended up being for the best.
And I think it tells a lot about our personalities. Whenever something happens, I'm always thinking, okay, worst case scenario, let's prepare, let's brace ourselves. And you're over here like, oh, let's open up the opportunities. Let's be positive, you know?
That's true. Yeah, it's so funny.
So let's talk about a little bit of our working style today. One thing that I think we've done well after working together for 8 years is just dividing and conquering and not stepping on each other's toes. And I would talk a little bit about that, how we've been able to do it, what your main focuses are.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like we've said throughout this, you and I have very different skill sets. I think we have very similar business philosophies now and how we approach running a company. But I think you're way better at talking to clients, talking to the freelancers, handling the internal operations. We've kind of made you the face of the business. I don't know if that was by choice or it just kind of happened, right. But you're amazing at that now. And then I'm kind of more on, I like to be kind of in the background. I think that's where I found a really good place for myself in running a business. I can build the website, I can design things, I can create content, I can manage the teams that handle the marketing, the advertising, a little bit more of the technical stuff, and have you handle more of the customer facing and that type of things. And it allows us to work really well together. We have amazing trust. So we both just kind of do those things, and then the business goes forward because of it.
Right. So a question that I get asked on a lot of podcasts is what is your long-term plan? Right. My least favorite question. Right. And I always kind of dodge it. And I say, hey, if you asked me 10 years ago if I'd be selling baby products, wouldn't have believed you. If you asked me 5 years ago if I'd be running a marketplace, who knows what the future says. I know that you think about the future. I know that you plan it out. Give us a glimpse into what you think the next 5 to 10 years of your life of FreeUp is going to be like.
Yeah, it's a great question. You probably know though as well that I used to be the pie in the sky guy, and that's kind of something we used to argue about when we were younger. Oh, wow. And I've definitely come more down to earth. I usually look at things now in like 1 to 2 year spans. I think that's more realistic. You can set goals and it's easy to work towards them over a year, 2-year span. I'll be honest, I don't really think in 5 years anymore. It's too tough. That's hard to look at.
Right.
But if I had to peg something on it, I'd love to still be running FreeUp with you. I think we have a lot of opportunity. There's this whole marketplace and the whole world of freelance is just growing all over the world. And we're in a really unique scenario. I'm talking to clients every day and them saying, hey, I can see how you're different from these other places. I think that's really powerful. And I love working with you. So yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. And one of the cool things that we do that I've been telling people and I encourage people to do is if you have a business partner that's remote, and Connor's in Colorado, I'm in Orlando, once a quarter we try to meet up in someplace cool. We met up in Austin. We had a great time and we're going to be planning trips to different places. So kind of a cool way to keep it fresh. I mean, I don't know about you, but with the Amazon business, I used to go a little bit crazy working from home. And
totally.
This is way different. I talk to clients all day. I go to podcasts. I have dogs now and all that. But I think getting that travel element of having that remote lifestyle, and I know you love to travel as well. Talk a little bit about traveling and how that's been a big part of your life.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great opportunity to, travel to South Africa for a couple summers working for a company while we were still in college. And that kind of just opened my mind and my world to traveling and different cultures and how people look at things differently. And then, I try to travel as much as possible, go check out new places, whether it's in the US, outside of it. And then just on a daily basis, like you were saying, to avoid going crazy, just working from your home office, I go to coffee shops a lot, try to be around other people, see what they're doing, meet new people, and just keep things fresh.
Cool. So let's wrap up by talking about the podcast. I'm kind of looking at it as you're my unofficial producer. You're going to be behind the scenes doing a lot of the marketing, the content, helping get certain guests on the show. What are you most excited about this podcast?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the people we're able to get on here. I think we're going to be able to get some really high level entrepreneurs who have built multi-million-dollar businesses, have done outsourcing, have built teams in-house, have kind of gone down different roads with entrepreneurship that you and I maybe haven't even had experience with yet. And we can hear their stories. We can have them share tips with people and really, relate to the listeners of this podcast,
I agree. And I could not be more excited. The show is called Outsourcing and Scaling. You're listening to episode 1. We have a ton of great guests lined up. Make sure that you subscribe on iTunes. Leave us a review if you like this content. Send us your feedback. Definitely check out freeup.com. Connor, any last words?
Definitely subscribe to this podcast. There's going to be a lot of amazing content coming out and some great guests. So we look forward to seeing all of you there.
Awesome. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.